All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Engineers for Communities live show. We have a very interesting guest today. Uh, a he is a very unique developer out of Denver, Colorado, owner of Red Tea Homes, and they are changing the game for how developers build developments and what people care about. Today, we've got Nathan Adams over at Red Tea Homes. Thanks for joining.
You're welcome. Happy to be here. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I see it everywhere. I see it on LinkedIn. I see it on Facebook. Your Facebook. I get some emails. The greener Colorado. I feel like people are talking about it. Can you kind of just give me a little insight into what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So it'd be really cool if I could claim it, but it's mine because I own the company, but it's not my idea. So I'll
Oh,
go.
real quick,
Yeah,
I forgot. Can you give a little brief description about what Red Tea is and what you guys do?
absolutely. As long as you promise to come back to that question and ask me
I'm
again in
coming
case I
back to it. I completely feel like people should know what you do and then why.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty fair thing. I guess we just assumed everybody knew who I was and what I do,
Yeah.
and I am damn sure not famous, so I don't expect anybody on the call to know who I am. So Red Tea Homes is a we do a lot of things residential real estate related. So I would call us a real estate company, but under our one roof, we have an architecture team, a construction team. We have a team that handles our entitlements, acquisitions, sales and marketing. So we've got, 5, 6 businesses that all tie together and feed one another under the same roof. And I must have taken my mental pills here for a good memory today because I actually remember where we were going before we forgot to do that. So, the building a greener Colorado. I'll give you the condensed version, but I'll go back far enough in time. So, for me as a CEO, 5 or 6 years ago, I was trying to figure out like how do I get better? How do I get better at my craft? And there's not very many places you can go to do that. So I joined a group, and it was all CEOs, and we're helping solve each other's problems and continuing education and really figuring out how to be a better boss, a better leader. And one thing that came out of that I loved was best places to work. So now today we're actually waiting for our results from 2 different places locally, so Denver, and then also through Inc. 500, we've applied nationally to see where we rate there as well. But one of the things that I really learned through going that journey and angling to be a best places to work company is that one of the most important things you can do is listen to your employees, pay attention to your employees. So for a long time, our employees are making noise about, hey, why do we build like everybody else? Why can't we build it better? There's all these technologies, there's all these ways that we can do better. So I learned to pay attention to my employees. I started to listen, and I thought they had a great idea. So in 2021, we started doing research. You know, what does it mean? Is the market going to be receptive? How are our clients going to feel about it? And we determined in 2021 that we were going to, by January 1st of 2022, draw a line in the sand. We won't buy it, build it, design it, or sell it, new construction specifically, if it's not built to a LEED Gold certification or higher. And just a brief description of LEED Gold, that is sustainably built. You have all high efficiency appliances, low flow water fixtures. You're really building a home to do 3 primary things. It's better for the environment the way that it's constructed. It's a more affordable home to live in, and it's a healthier home to live in. So what our end user gets, whoever buys from us, they're living in a healthier home that costs them less money to operate on an annual basis than a traditionally built home. And while we're going through the process of building it, we're being substantially more friendly to the environment than a traditional home builder would be.
So talking about LEED certification, I saw something very interesting on your website. It says that Red Tea is the first home builder west of the Mississippi, which is kind of shocking because California is technically west of the Mississippi,
It is.
that is meeting or exceeding the LEED Zero certification.
Yeah, so we learned about LEED Zero probably 15, 16 months ago, maybe a little bit more. And we thought that it went LEED Gold, LEED Platinum, and then you capped out. And technically you do, because once it's constructed, we don't get the LEED Zero certification. We can only achieve LEED Platinum, but we're building 7 homes to the specifications to be LEED Zero. They have to be occupied for 12 months. And the owners have to hand over the, because it's for sale. If it were for rent, it's easier. But because it's for sale, we have to get the owners to give us back the energy bills. And then we go through a process of getting it qualified for net zero. So it's not a guarantee that all 7 will be there. Although my best guess is these 7 individuals probably see property value as a very good thing for them. And the higher it is, the better. That certification likely raises their property value, and all they have to do is hand us their energy bills. So I would guess they'll do that, and we probably will get there with all 7.
So there's a kind of checking. You design it to that, and then it has to go through a trial period, and they come back and say, okay, did it actually hit the specific metrics that it claimed it was going to?
Yeah, exactly. So we build it to the highest LEED certification, and then after 12 months of operating the home, then we're able to graduate to LEED Zero. But as of right now, only 1 home has come before us. It was built in Florida. It's a private residence. I don't know what city specifically. The U.S. Green Building Council is pretty tight-lipped about the location, but pretty cool for us. Not just west of the Mississippi. We'll be homes 2 through 8 in the entire United States.
Gotcha. I saw a really interesting post by you. You were talking about the recent fires in Louisville, and talking about how the current homeowners, or they were able to get new houses permitted at a rate faster than normal. And for me, one of the things I try to do is expedite projects for my clients, and sometimes it's just like making a kid, and there's things that have to happen that you can't change. You can't make it change. What what can you kind of describe that a little to me, like what you saw and your take on that?
Yeah, so I don't want to confuse anyone, and I apologize because I got to correct you on something. So when you say Louisville, I think people are thinking Kentucky.
Yeah,
There is a Louisville, Colorado,
sorry,
in
Louisville.
or adjacent to Boulder County, up where Boulder, Colorado is. So that's the one we're talking about specifically, but that's where the Marshall wildfires were. That's where almost 1,000
Right.
homes burned to the ground. So yes, I do believe they were able to like come in and get permits issued to rebuild those homes. And I think they did it in like a month or 2 months. It was a very short period of time. And for me, I'm like waving my hands in the air. I'm yelling and screaming. I'm like, you prove that you can do this. Why the hell can you not issue permits in 90 days or 180 days? Many of the municipalities in Colorado are taking, just for a single family home, upwards of 12 months to issue a permit. And that's not everyone, but that's the majority of them. And if you're building a townhome project, 2.5, 3 years right now. And pre-COVID, it was 9 to 12 months,
How
maybe.
do you even run numbers for 2 or 3 years? I mean, I don't even know what my favorite flavor of ice cream is in 2 years. How do you know if this is going to work out in 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, it's a valid point. So all that really does is it increases the risk that a developer or a builder has to take. You take risk in developing something because you can't guarantee there will be buyers, that they will want to buy, that interest rates will be favorable. But markets change and move too. So if I had just added a couple of years to the front end of a development project, I just increased my risk. So one of the best ways that we mitigate that is we seek longer closings. So it's to the detriment of the sellers. Usually they want their money and they want it now. And we're angling for, sometimes a 12-month or longer close. We're going through one right now that we're, I think, 4 or 5 months in. It's a 3-year close. Gives us 18 months to get rezoned. And during the last 8 or 9 months of our rezone, we'll start into our building plans, our site plan and platting and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But we won't close for 3 full years from the date we signed the contract, which means we're now closing at issuance of permits. and we mitigate that first 3 years of risk of having potentially bought this land for $4.5 million. And maybe the rezone doesn't go, maybe we got less density than we thought, or maybe the market's got awful and we don't want to build it. So the seller carries it for longer now, and that's becoming common practice.
So you want to build a greener Colorado. People want you to build a greener Colorado. And I was just trying to summarize this is people are willing to sell to you, give you property. Generally, city council, those people, they're in favor of what you're doing. But the actual process of getting through all the hoops, and I'm not saying they're right or wrong, it's just getting feedback in a reasonable time. It just gets pushed to the seller who's trying to whatever, he's trying to go buy a property somewhere else or move on from it.
Yeah. What's really cool right now, I don't think I've shared this with you, but so this will be new. So you have Governor Polis in his second term, and he's recently said things like he wants to cut red tape. He wants to make it faster and easier to get to permit. He wants to see more building around transportation. Killer. I mean, if you're building green, why build an hour and a half outside of the city for people I've talked to a decent number of those people coming in, people that look like they're favorites to win in their district, and they all have the same message around housing. We have to be better. We have to get permits issued faster. We need more housing. We've got a homeless problem. We've got an affordability problem. And the ways to solve that is to build more housing, get permits issued faster. A couple of those incoming city council members, or what I believe to be incoming city council members, are super sideways. We had this thing called Proposition 123. It was on the ballot in Colorado to do more for affordable housing. That passed, I believe it passed, and I haven't fact checked the second part, but I've been told that Denver is not getting $40 million worth of grant money because they can't issue permits fast enough.
Oh, really? There's a metric tied to it. Who's giving these grants out? I haven't heard about this.
I believe it's tax money, and I don't know enough about it. I just love that incoming city council members are saying we lost out on $40 million worth of grant money for affordable housing because we don't issue permits fast enough. We're going to solve that. That's going to be one of the first things that we solve. That is phenomenal, because when you have an inventory crisis and it takes you 2 or 3 years to get a permit, you can't fix that as fast as you could if it were half the time or 30% of the time.
Yeah. Do you think that grant money too, I mean, that's going to help fix roads when they go in, they'll build new roads, fix with different stormwater areas, things like that too, or?
Well, kind of, but indirectly. So the way that I would say that is, I mean, that money is specific for building affordable housing.
Right.
But what is very common in Colorado, if I'm going to build, say, I don't know, 50 or 100 unit apartment building, even if it's affordable housing, they'll have me upgrading the water main in the street, and I'll be repaving the alleys, and I'll be putting in new curb and gutter, and I'll be upgrading the sidewalk on the corner so that it is friendly to somebody that can't see. So they usually nail you in a development. The bigger it gets, the more they get you for improving the infrastructure in the area around. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's a bad thing, but the grant money wouldn't go to that. They'll just get that out of developers when they start building. That's just
fair.
practice.
Maybe indirectly. Okay, so so you really think, I know you went and met with the governor, you've talked about this red tape stuff, and so in your mind, the way to change these long lead times is to vote for people that are more in favor of the process and getting projects through approval. What I'm just trying to think, what are the current people in favor of then?
Oh, let's see. Maybe you see some boys. We're trying to be as fair and equitable as we can with the homeless population. So now you get a ticket if you smoke crack or smoke meth on the street in front of a police officer. So we are, in my mind, focused on the right things. Denver right now is leading the nation in car thefts. To me,
I've had my car stolen in the last 2 years, and then attempted to be stolen again, and they've punched the keyhole out. Um,
yeah. So we have a mutual friend, Ty, and he told me last time I saw him, which was less than a week ago, that his car was stolen, or his wife Jordan's. I can't remember which one, but that is that is not that Denver has a bunch of bad people living here. That is that politically we've tied the police's hands. We've, allowed the homeless thing to just get way out of control. We're not very strict in how we handle criminal activity. And that can all be changed politically. And I know we're going to get a new mayor and a lot of new city council people. So it's on radar for them, I believe.
one of the things that kind of blows my mind, and I haven't been able to figure it out, and then so if you know why, please feel free to chime in. When I go to Hermosa Beach, California, and I go to Manhattan, there are no homeless people. You go to Venice, you go to LA, tons of homeless people. What are they doing differently in that little area? Because there's still beach to go sleep on. I'm just trying to figure out like what mentally is different in that area than everywhere else, because it's police all the areas.
I don't know definitively, but I'm going to guess it's political. So if the politicians in Denver, Hermosa Beach, or Manhattan Beach, or wherever say this is a problem, we don't tolerate it, and this is what we want done about it, then the police go, okay, cool, you've given us directive, we will solve this problem.
The power to help shift the focus.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have to have our voice heard when we vote, right? And then we have to encourage the people that make the decisions, the rules, the laws, the way we're going to do things, encourage them to do what either we believe is right or we think is best for the city.
What one of the things I was wanting to get an update from you on is the housing crisis, the current situation in Colorado. What are you seeing happening right now?
So, boy, 2022 was wild. So we start the year with 3% interest rates. There's bidding wars on property. Like not every, but almost every property is selling for like 5 to 8% over list price. So that means you list $1 million home, things going for $1,050,000 or $1,080,000, and it's gone in a day, and people have to make decisions really quickly. And then felt like it happened overnight. We were all of a sudden at 7.5% interest rates, and that market slowed way down. But what didn't change is the fact that we still had an inventory crisis. It meant that homes were a lot less affordable at a 7.5% interest rate. As of today, they finally snuck back under 6 again. I think the update I got this morning was 5.97%. So
Okay.
If that holds into the weekend, we'll have a really busy weekend. We'll have some decent sales this weekend. 6 now seems to be the magical number that when you go under it, great activity. People are like, I want to get under contract. I want to lock my rate. And then they get close to 7 and everybody kind of slows down. So it took a lot of buyers out of the market, but what it also did was it took a lot of sellers out of the market. So I'll put you on the spot. I know you've got 2 houses.
Yes.
What's your interest rate on those 2 homes?
2 and 3.25.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Are you selling either of those to trade into a 6% interest rate right now?
No, absolutely not.
Neither are any of the other people, unless they're going through like, hey, we're in a 1-bedroom apartment and we're pregnant with twins. Okay, they're going to sell and they're going to move. That will become inventory to the market, or a divorce, or we're relocating you out of state. Big life changes are now going to make listings, make sales happen. But anybody who's looking at it is like, I looked this morning, we had, I think it was 953 homes for sale in Denver County. That is crazy low. We have less than 5,000 for sale in the metro area, and that's 11 counties. We're talking like
How
Boulder down
many people?
to, what's that?
How many people live in
We
that area?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, we were doing that research yesterday and we couldn't pin it down perfectly because we couldn't find a source, but it's between 3 and 4 million people that
Three and
live in those 11 counties where we have less than 5,000 homes for sale. So
what's
do
the
the math.
historical average?
Um, I don't know definitively what the historical average is, and I don't know that it's great. And the reason I say that is Colorado's population has been growing at a pretty good pace. So
Yeah.
if our population stayed stagnant, historical data might be more relevant. But I'll give you this. We peaked sometime around 2009 or 2010 with close to 32,000 homes for sale in that 11 county metro area. Now you fast forward to today, it's 13 years later. We have, what is that, a sixth or a seventh the amount of inventory, but we have way more people living
Way
here.
more.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
A neutral balance market is 5 or 6 months of inventory. Some people might even say as little as 4. Right now, we're sitting on about a month and a half.
Holy
And
crap.
as the activity picks up with the rates coming down, and they are coming down, month of inventory probably in a matter of another couple of months, and we'll be talking about bidding wars all over again. It's coming.
Yeah. So you think we're, hey, like, let's push this stuff forward. Let's get this stuff going, because if we don't do it, it's only going to make this spike, these prices, this kind of waste of effort, right? Like, I always hate wasting resources and saying, okay, now I got to put 10 people against each other for one home, which it doesn't really help anyone, and then it hurts them on the next one.
Yeah. Um, Absolutely. I wish we could go back in time and take all of our adult population and make them pay attention in economics 101. The number of people that don't get the laws of supply and demand, to me, is just mind boggling. And as that relates to real estate, we have a lot of demand and we don't have very much supply. So when you have too much demand and not enough supply, which way do prices have to go?
Right.
Going up. And that makes affordability and attainability a bigger and bigger problem that's growing by the day.
So, golly, the inventory, and there's not, in like, there usually you can project, say, homes going, because one of the metrics I see a lot is like how many homes are under permitting, the permitting phase. But that number, the how it feels is it's just always growing. It's never ever, they're never really working it down. It's almost like they want this much in the queue. And if it becomes a big enough problem or enough people care about it, they'll start pushing some stuff through. Or if it helps them with whatever their agenda is. I just trying to put my head around it.
Yeah. Um, you have like two different mentalities in the business world. We call it the public sector and the private sector. So public sector is government work. Those are your people working for the city and county of Denver. Not to say they're bad people, they're actually phenomenal people. Some of the nicest people I've ever met work for the city and county of Denver. But what I perceive the public mentality to be is we need to have enough work to get to retirement. They don't have a desire to push stuff out. Because look, if they were in the private sector, they'd be like, if we can get these things out in 6 months instead of 12 months, and we can cut some of the red tape and we can move these a little quicker, oh my God, we could make twice as much money. That's how
Right.
the private sector thinks. I'm like, if I can get my permits faster, if I could build it 3 months quicker, if I could spend 2 months less on market, then we can be more profitable and we can turn that money around to build more houses, and more houses when you have an inventory crisis. That's a really good thing.
Yeah, I agree. And then we're just putting resources better use. So one of the things, like always harp on, is I hate seeing just wasted resources, because there's automations and stuff happening. People talk about chat GPT, and that's going to put coders out of the job, because you can type in, you know embedded image in an email and it'll just give you the code in 3 seconds. And I sit there, great, now we have all these people we can go put on tasks that are way higher level. And
Mhm.
instead, like you said, you've just got people sitting there spinning their wheels. And it can be frustrating. It can be frustrating to deal with.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because everybody's worried Chat GPT is going to put people out of work. They're not going to have anything to do. As a business owner, I have watched for at least 3 years and maybe closer to 5 or 6 years. It's really hard to hire. There's very few people out there looking for a job. There's always a ton of job openings. So we get better and more efficient and we eliminate some jobs with automation or technology. Guess what? That's okay. We have more jobs than we have people right now. I saw a headline, I think yesterday or the day before. It was something outrageous, like China's population is going to shrink by half and ruin the world economy, I think was the headline, something like that. Oh my God, they need automation. They need to figure out how to get all the work done with less people because their birth rates are really, really low. And this is going to be a problem for them in 20 or 25 years. It might be a problem for the rest of the world. They're a giant economy.
One of the things I think is really interesting is you leverage technology. I hear about a lot of it, especially in your hiring process, and I think it's really an interesting thing. You're telling me people take these specific quizzes that tell you about their personality types, which helps you put them in a better position. Let's say you like a candidate and you don't want to weed them out, but you're like, oh, this guy would be great. This is matches them. Can you talk about some of those things you use?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's fun because right before this call, I interviewed somebody. So I had their little chart out, and the chart comes with a narrative, but I don't need the narrative because I'm used to reading the chart. And it's literally 6 dots. And all I wanted to do with this person was really just confirm that they aligned the way the personality profile went through. So I went through, and question number one was, what are your career goals? And this person had that's the A trait. They had a lower A trait. So the high A trait, those are your entrepreneurial, start a business, somebody like you.
Yeah.
Like you want something, you go get it. Your lower A's are like, I want to work for somebody. I want them to tell me what to do. So she confirmed through her answer. And then the next one is, are you introverted? Are you extroverted? She was introverted. I'm sorry, extroverted. And I could tell, but when she walked in, that was the case. And then the next dot below that is patience. And patience is like, if you're on the impatient side, you can multitask. You want to get things done. You want to move on to the next level. Private sector mentality, not public sector mentality.
Yeah.
And, asked some questions around that. She confirmed that as well. And the fourth trait, and 5 and 6 matter a little. Fourth trait was, how organized are you? Do you follow
Right.
rules? Do you follow systems and processes? That was her leading trait. I looked at her and I said, hey, if you have a checklist and you get to the bottom of that thing, you checked your last task off. Before I even finished the question, she's smiling really big. I'm like, yes, we have the perfect
Just
person for the
pictured
job.
it.
Yeah, and as soon
That's
as I was
so
done talking, she's like, "Oh my God, I love that." She's like, "I've got a checklist in my purse. I know where I'm going after this. I know everything I need to do." And at the end of the day, when I've completed that, she's like, "I'll feel amazing."
You know what's so funny is you said that and I'm really glad you said that example. So I'm always constantly trying to find good engineers. And initially, and I'm sure you've had this hurdle when you're interviewing with them, you're looking for you initially want someone to sell you to them, but that yourself. But that's a salesperson, and that's
Mhm.
not an engineer or a bookkeeper. They don't sell stuff. They have systems and processes, and they build automations, and like they're very process oriented. They're not going to sit there and tell you how amazing they are at this thing. And it's very, I think that personality profile really bridges that gap.
It does. In fact, I'll share another very, very short story. So our consultant's name is Jeff, and when we did this system probably 6 or 7 years ago, he came in, he trained us all. He said he could predict heart attacks at companies just by the results and going in and seeing the people. So if he had somebody that was in a job that the way their brain was wired was polar opposite of what was needed for the job, in other words, like you put an extreme introvert into a sales position where they have to be social and talk to people all day, every day. He said, if somebody was in a job where they were having to have an out of body experience to do their job, it creates an incredible amount of stress. He'd look around and he'd see the 3 or 4 people that align to that and see that maybe They're not eating healthy. They're not in good physical shape. He's like, that person's going to have a heart attack if you keep them in that job. And he's literally predicted heart attacks
That's
off
crazy.
this software.
That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you take somebody that's not in good shape, poor physical fitness, and you put them in a high stress environment, they're going to have,
Yeah.
problems.
So I kind of wanted to, it's not all doom and gloom out there. What are some recent successes, past successes that you guys have been having that have, are your staple show pieces?
Oh gosh. So recent successes are really hiring. I mean, there's more talent out there available in the real estate world now than there has been in a long time. And that's because the market got a little funky on us in 2022. So a lot of the national home builders are laying off and laying off quality people. We just hired a guy, he has 40 years of experience in construction, and he only worked for 3 companies. Normally, if I see somebody with 40 years of experience, they probably work for 25 companies because construction is just a very transient business.
Yeah.
We've had this guy in for like a month, and he is a stud. He knows so much. He's already solving problems. He's already moving projects faster than we thought they could move. So recent successes have really been on the hiring front. Uh, I wouldn't talk about things like sales because really a lot of sales, it doesn't mean we don't want good quality salespeople, but a lot of sales is market driven right now. Like if rates drop to 4% tomorrow, we could take the crappiest thing that we built, like throw buckets of paint on it. Somebody's going to buy it for more than ask price. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of ebb and flow with the market, especially the last couple of years. Um, and then I think maybe you said projects. We touched on the one that's going to be at the intersection of Mississippi and Dahlia. That's going to be lead zero. That's a big deal. But what's also been a big deal for us, 2021 was when we started buying property to build to a lead gold certification or higher. We have already built lead gold. Actually, we started with Department of Energy net zero ready. That was a step below lead gold. So we did that, knocked that out. We've knocked out lead
Yeah.
gold, completed those projects. We have projects in the queue that are going right now that'll be lead platinum, and then also the lead zero project. So it's not a specific project, but we're just ratcheting up our game as we go. And our next projects that go into design, we're going to start putting more features in that make it a healthier home to live in. Borderline branding it as a lifestyle brand. Like if you're a healthy, fit person and you care about where you live and you want that to promote health and fitness, you should buy one of our houses.
Well, that's going to lead me to my next question is why, if you guys have this big building greener Colorado, are you only looking at Colorado? I mean, why haven't you guys gone anywhere else?
Yeah, so we're gonna have to change that name. Um, you've probably heard this before, but if you grow too fast, and you've probably seen companies that have done this, you grow too fast. Like we're going to go to this state and this state, we're going to do all these things. You move too quickly. It's a good way to put yourself out of business. So the way we see our growth plan is once we've perfected it in the Denver metro area, we'll move to another location within Colorado. That could be Fort Collins, could be Colorado Springs, could be Greeley, which is booming right now. And then once we've perfected 2 spots within the same state, then we'll start to move regionally. So when that move comes, building a greener Colorado is going to have to change. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but that day is coming, and I guess it's probably 3 to 4 years out, maybe 5 at the most.
Well, you do come up with the name, which is great because by then it'll probably the name will create itself. You take a survey, or if you guys are growing like that, I mean, you're gonna have like a whole movement kind of going.
Yeah, and we call them with really creative marketing guy, and he branded them light homes. It's a light on the planet, environmentally friendly when we build it. It's light on the wallet because it costs less money to operate it, and we're generally building smaller to medium sized homes, attainably priced. So again, light on your wallet there as well.
What? So I just want to backtrack a little bit. So what got you to start Red Tea? Like, what was the moment that you were like, you know what, I'm doing this?
Yeah, I didn't plan it all. Like 18 years ago when I started into real estate. It wasn't like, okay, I'm going to do all of these things that's going to eventually lead to this. Just things happen along the way. And I would consider myself opportunistic. So I went to work for somebody else just for 8 or 9 months. Some of the things that were going on at that company didn't feel right to me. I was new to real estate. I didn't know it very well. The owner of that company eventually ended up in jail. So thank God I got out of there. He was doing some, stuff that was against the law, I guess is the easiest way I can put that. But once I got my license, um, I didn't have many clients. It was brand new. So I would go wherever I could, any social event. I'd always tell people what I did for work, just looking for that person that's like, I'm going to buy a house. Will you work with me? Or I've got a house to sell. So I gained business that way, but I still had free time. So then I started doing renovation projects. But how it got to Red Tea is I got so busy that I couldn't get all the work done in a day. And I remember it really well. I can remember it like it was yesterday. I'm sitting in my home office and it's like 11 o'clock at night and my eyes are starting to close and I have this mountain of paperwork next to me. I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna have to get up at 5 a.m. just to like keep my head above water. And that was the light bulb moment. I don't have to do all of this. I can hire somebody. So I hired my first employee. And at the time, the managing broker of the office comes into my office and he's like, hey, you got an employee. You're a team now. You need a team name. And they were in Lakewood. Most of my business was in Denver. So I said, cool, we'll call ourselves Real Estate Denver Team. I'm not very creative. So that's just what we'll call ourselves. And then when I left there, started a brokerage, I called it Real Estate Denver Team, which is a terrible name for a brokerage. So then we hired a company. We went through a rebranding exercise. We looked at all kinds of different names and logos and colors. And we ultimately landing on just the first letter. So R in real, E in estate, DT. So we ended up being Red Tea Homes. And now our real estate sign is like a crooked looking T that's painted red. And we've gotten a good bit of traction and a decent number of people in Denver recognize us. So Red Tea it
Uh,
is.
I'm hearing your name pop up more, which it's kind of weird. Some more people. I was on a call yesterday with an architect. Had no idea, and he's asking, "Oh, who do you work with?" Oh, I've done work with Red Tea. He's like, "Oh, you play volleyball. Do you play volleyball with Nathan? Like, do you know Nathan?" I was like, "Oh yeah, we'll play with him next week."
Who was it?
Ah, man, what was his name? I'll have to tell
Yeah,
you later. I don't know
send me a text later when you remember it. I'd be curious.
yeah, I was just like, man, just it's the circle, it's getting smaller, your name, or either the circle's getting smaller, your name's getting out there. That's what I think it is. Um, wow. So you started growing, you got your first employee, you called it Red Tea. Why is the R not capitalized? I always end up going capital R, ED, capital T, and then having to erase the R, put it lowercase because it feels disrespectful because there was some sort of intentionality to it or something.
Yeah, and sometimes when I send emails, I end up with a capital R because that's what Outlook wants to do is
Right.
capitalize the R. So sometimes I screw it up as well. Um, I've never been asked this question, but I think it's easy. The words real, not important. Estate, not important. Denver, not important. Team, the T is capitalized. To me, the team
Yeah.
is the most important word of the four words in there. So it's hyper logical that the team's the primary focus of that.
Wow, that's like pretty deep. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Do most of the people know that work with you? I'm curious if because I like yeah.
I don't think anybody's ever asked me like, what's the T capitalized in the RED or not. I maybe have shared it. I don't know, but
Well,
I
now they
certainly
know, and we it's been recorded, so we will send you that so you can if
I
anyone
can't
ever
deny it
asks
now.
you.
Yeah, I can't deny it. It's out there.
It could show up on the FAQ on your website because I bet you people wonder. You put a little clip on there and it show it.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea.
Um, okay, cool. So success story, you're getting a ton of you're getting great people at a time because people cut bait. They decide these other real estate groups essentially said, "Oh, okay, well, they got nervous and they cut bait, and you're finding great talent. W- what kind of things are you learning from the great talent? Because when I work with an all-star, that's the thing I love. I'm always learning something from this all-star, and that's probably my favorite part about working with people is learning from them. What are some of these all-stars bringing in for you?
Um, they're filling gaps where, we were getting by, but not great. So we are, oh gosh, next week we start our second round of closings on a 10 unit project, and we're 3 units closed, six more start closings late next week and into the following week. And then we've got one more unit to sell. So with the talent that we have now, just on the land development side, I would say that we probably were 300 to $500,000 worth of savings had we had just one individual at the time we started that project. It was a 1.6 acre site. Soil wasn't good. We had to really move a lot of soil around to get all the drainage right, get everything to funnel to the detention pond. We had over excavation for the basements. We had some miscommunication with unincorporated Jefferson County. We just had a lot of stuff happen. And I think we probably could have shaved off 3 months and several $100,000 just by having the talent that's with us now. So and I learned stuff through that. But the thing that I somebody said this to me yesterday or the day before. You know Jerry. I had dinner with Jerry a couple nights ago, and we were talking to a potential candidate to work at Red Tea at a later date and time. And Jerry said this, and he said, you get what you pay for. Like, so many companies are looking at it and they're like, we can hire a person for $80,000 and they'll be serviceable, versus could have hired the rock star for 150 that probably would have paid their salary over and over and over again. So, for anybody out there that's listening that owns a business or growing a business, don't skimp on talent.
Yeah.
It's remarkable what those folks with a better resume that command a higher price tag can do for you.
That's so interesting. So the that's when you're looking at that critical position. So I had David on this. David's at Round Mountain Water and Sanitation, and I had him on. And one thing we talked about was the value of having good engineers on a project, and that really resonates to me. It's like if you have a bad employee, a bad person in the wrong position, and they're in a critical role, they can totally cost someone just an astronomical disproportional amount of money to what they paid, especially if you tried to skimp or you tried to cut some corners, or if you didn't have the right foresight. In his example, he spent $500,000 for a wastewater treatment plant. It came in at $12 million, which it's a group of 700 people. They have 700 total people. How are they going to pay for a $12 million treatment plant? How did someone not think about it? That's what one bad individual did, and they had a $500,000 engineering grant that just gone. It's gone. They'll never get that. The state's not going to give them another one.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's great. And they were like, hey, that's not our problem, so you have to pay to redesign this. I'm like, no, we hired you guys to design this in the best manner possible, not for you to stick
Right.
it wherever you want, find out that it's economically not feasible to build, and we have to coach you up on where the thing goes. So having
Wow.
quality individuals do the work is huge.
So, how does that? I'm assuming this is a decent group, and it was a probably pretty. I mean, you're talking about a couple. If you're saying you had a couple 100,000 yards of fill that you might have to get to the site to get it to drain properly. I'm guessing you were working on a pretty large project and a pretty large firm. How did they not have the QCer check this in the pre-planning phase, or like when were these boxes checked, or what's going on behind the scenes there?
Yeah, so it's a 13-acre site. We are trying to figure out right now. Our COO has been on calls the last couple of weeks trying to figure out, hey guys, how did this happen? Why is it on us to tell you where the detention goes? Why aren't you coming to us and saying, hey, this is the most logical spot. It's the low point on the site. You're not gonna, it's gonna be more economical to build. So I think they believe that they just design what they want, where they want, and it's up to us to figure out how to build it.
Oh, wow. So this wasn't one of those situations where an architect drew a plan up and then they tried to make it work. This was a situation where it was their plan.
Yes. Yes. That's factual.
Because I can find, for me, sometimes working with architects and other groups, when they draw stuff up, I feel there's a lot of pressure because sometimes I'm the bad guy. I'd be like, hey, this looks great. The problem is I can't fit the pond in. It's usually the pond.
Yeah.
I can't fit the pond in, or I can't get the fire lane. I can't work the fire lane here. Um, it can be frustrating because it's intimidating because you typically work for that person. But that's interesting to hear that this was not the case.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not fun right now, but ultimately it'll be a successful project. We'll do well. But when you're talking a 6-figure ad services when issue, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Gotcha. What it's like pretty important to me is always looking for the next way to be a little better on the next project. What's like a current learning lesson that you guys are implementing right now?
Um, yeah, gosh, there's one that comes to mind. I'm a transparent person, so I'll give it to you, even though
Okay.
it may not make us look phenomenal. So we talked about entitlement earlier and the speed at which they go, which is god awful slow right now. And damn near every architect and engineer and anybody else tied to submissions to the city, they just always want to point the finger at the city. City's fault. Submissions.
Ooh.
And there's changes that we made. So now there needs to be a second, if not a third set of eyes on those to look at every comment. Did we in fact address this? Because we were putting submissions back in. We didn't address every comment, which guarantees you're going into another round. Well, if you have to wait 16 weeks for them to review each
Yeah.
time, we're losing 3-4 months, sometimes longer. So we've really changed the quality control on our end. We would let our people that we work with, was civil engineer, structural engineer, MEP, just go ahead and submit stuff direct to the city. We've changed our policy where we want all that stuff to come to us now, and we're
Yeah.
going to check their work before it gets submitted, because the last thing I want is civil engineer that's busy and they're like, hey, I went through this, I did it, I submitted it to the city, and it comes back 16 weeks later and we're like, oh my god, you didn't address 3 of the comments. We
Yeah.
have to wait 16 more weeks to get these handled, and inevitably the engineer at the city will quit. You'll get a new engineer. They'll give you another 6 to 8 comments. And
Yeah.
now
It's
we're like,
self-fulfilling.
oh God, now we're like a year out before we're getting permits. So we've really changed the QC end of our submissions. If it takes us an extra 3 days, we might save 16 weeks.
Yeah. I
We're
love
taking
that.
extra week here.
I love that level of ownership. The phrase that comes to mind is they're going to respect what you inspect. And I I bet you if you guys keep up that level of tenacity on your consultants, that what will happen is they will be scared of getting the kickback from you, scared whatever. They're going to respect what you're inspecting on their stuff, and so they're going to start looking at it again. Okay, wait, I don't really want to deal with this again in 3 weeks or 3 days when Nathan kicks it back to me because I actually didn't fully think about this.
Yeah, so we have a KPI. We have a leadership team meeting every Wednesday morning. KPI, just key performance indicator, and one of them that we look at probably, and one of them is, do we have any projects that are beyond a third SDP or MSP? Those are basically the acronyms for the process that you're going through at a municipality before you get into the actually inspect your architectural and structural drawings. It's,
Yeah.
zoning, drainage, survey, wastewater, just all of that stuff that gets wrapped into SDP and MSP. So yesterday was the first time that we didn't have any projects that are beyond round 3. Now we have one that as soon as we get comments, we're going into our 4th SDP at City and County of Denver. But it's our goal not to go into rounds 4, 5. Some people are in round 6 and 7 right now, and to me, that's not the city's fault. That's a quality control issue. So we just cleared one up that was on round 6. So I mean, by no means are we perfect, but we were dealing with 4, 5, and 6 looking backwards and looking forwards. We're gonna be really upset if we're in round 4, livid if
Yeah.
we're in round 5, and non-tolerant of around 6.
But I think what's great about having that metric, it's something to hold everyone accountable to, right? So it's like,
Yep.
hey, because you're not gonna point the blame at the city. And if they are, they're gonna have to have a pretty damn good case why the first 3 times they weren't able to hash it out with them.
Yep. Well, the other thing that we do too, and we started an escalation process at the city, like, hey, if our planner is missing deadlines, giving us repeat comments that we've addressed, then we start to go up the chain of command because we want the city to be accountable for their work. Well, what we found when we started doing that was, oh gosh, some of these mistakes are on our end. So we
Yeah.
can't escalate and go to the supervisor and say, hey, your person's not getting it done when we've screwed up. So we have to have tight submissions so that we can then hold them accountable to the dates and deadlines and a quality review.
Love that. Love that. That's a huge win. I think that's just a huge win in life, just being able to take a little more personal ownership in what you're putting out there. I love it. I feel like you do that a lot in your personal life too, just with about anything you touch.
Yeah, I mean, control what you can control. Like if something's not going well for me, I got to go look in the mirror first and be like, is there something I could do better? Is there something I could get somebody else around me to do better? If you're just always blaming somebody, you've got victim mentality, and in my mind, you're a waste of society. If everything that goes wrong in your life is somebody else's fault, you're not a contributing member of
Yeah, you
society.
may need to look a little inward.
Yeah, you're a
Love it.
drag on society at that point.
I love it. All right. So is there anything else on about Red Tea, the message you're trying to send, the building the greener Colorado that you would like to talk about today?
Oh gosh. One thing comes to mind. So as we can, social media, hop on podcasts, whatever that is. And we have to do a lot of like, hey, look at us, look at what we're doing. That's not as much about, we want to change the industry. We want to change the way all builders think about building homes. We want them to start thinking, can I build a home that's healthier for the end user? Could I build in a better way so that the environment's less impacted? And the easiest way for us to do that is to lead by example. And we have to be out, we have to be front and center, podcasts, e-blasts, social media, wherever we can get that word across. So
Yeah.
it's really cool. We've got all of our developer clients to follow us. We've got, I think, 8 or 9 that were either some stage of design, construction, or selling right now. And that's 9 more developers that are building to a LEED Gold certification or higher. And we picked up a couple new clients that want to do it, and they're just not quite sure how. But even what we would consider competitors, we want to see them change as well.
Yeah.
There's a better way to do it. Why not see everybody do it?
I love that. Nathan, if someone wants to reach out to you, wants to learn about the greener Colorado, wants to get a LEED Gold certified home, where do they reach out to you?
Yeah, so people laugh when I do this, but we're live. You can't stop me from doing it. I'm going to give you my email address, which that one's easy, and I'll give you my cell phone number. I don't mind if somebody reaches out to me, sends me a text message calls. So email address is Nathan, Nathan, at redthomes.com. It's REDT as in team, homes plural. And my cell phone number is 720-255-4101. I don't mind if people reach out to me. I really don't.
All right, sweet, sweet. Nathan, thank you for coming on the show. We were very excited to have you on, and we love helping you share your message.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on here. It's always fun to do this stuff.
All right, that was a wrap. Great show. We are taking off next week, and the following week we will have a very interesting individual, Taylor. He is changing my opinion on what a project manager can do on the construction side of the business. So be looking out for that promotion because he's quite the individual. All right, thanks. See you, Nate.
See you later.